So I'm gonna shoot you my favorite question. So we will give you 3 years in the past, and we want you to give us an important memory from each.
Okay.
So the first one is 2005.
2005, I got my first job. I worked as a bank teller at Washington Mutual. It was interesting because that was the first year where, for the first time in my life, I was like ahead of my friends. Some of my friends were still like, getting money from their moms and anything like that, but I was making my own money. So I think actually, this is also gonna make me feel funny, but I also had my first girlfriend at that period too. So it actually kind of coincided the same year. It was a good year, really interesting year, but a good year.
How about 2010?
2010. 2010. You know what's funny? So it's crazy because '09 and '10 kind of blend in together. Like I don't remember a lot of both years, but I'll say a very important moment for me was November 22nd. I would say 2010. Dark Twisted Fantasy came out. It was an album that changed my life. There's a couple albums in my I guess in my phone, I guess, that I can't ever listen to again. Gotta listen to it so much. And that was one. It's my favorite Kanye album of all time.
I have to ask you a question because it's my favorite album too.
Yep.
Do you think that when you look at that album, you see that there's a huge amount of like artistic design involved, and like it's definitely a project that's more than music?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think because of the fast-paced environment, and that's part of the music business now, that kind of projects are kind of fading away?
Yeah, it's so funny. I was just talking about that about somebody, about a particular artist that, it's so hard because everybody wants to put out so much music. I remember last summer, everybody had an album out. Everybody had a song out. I remember every New Music Friday, you had to download like 40 new songs. And it's cool. It's not a bad thing, but it gets tiring because you don't get a chance to fully embrace and enjoy really good songs that deserve that. This year's been a lot slower, which has been great. There's been a lot of time for records to just live and breathe, right? But because things are so fast, a lot of the artists be like, I got to make things fast. I got to do that too. I got to keep up. If I don't put out an album every year, I fell off. When, those artists that don't put in albums for 2 years and they were still fine, right? And I think you can see that happen. And actually, the great artists, they do that. Like, I think Travis Scott with Astroworld did his version of that. I actually think that he could even do even better now that I didn't think he could do that. But now that I saw him do that, I'm like, he could even do even better. But he did his own version of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously everything Kendrick comes around does that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of artists that can do that, but you have to be committed to the art and the success about that.
And how about 2015?
2015, I could name you many things that happened that year, but 2015 I became an A&R, and in my first week, me and my partner Tunji signed GoldLink. First week as an A&R.
That doesn't
That's a
happen
pretty good
to
start,
a lot of people.
First week as an A&R. Yep. I was following. Me and him were following him for a very long time, and then it just happened. My first week as an A&R officially closed him. It was one of the best moments of my entire life.
And this just came to my mind now, but like we've talked a lot about A&Rs and signing artists, but arguably the real work starts after.
Oh my God!
Artists.
What?
So can you explain a little bit about how the process is after the?
Well, before I explain that, I want to applaud that because there's so many young folks that get in the signing sprees and think, I'm in the race to sign every artist. Like everybody loves the thrill of being in the chase of signing artists. It's like, I'm signing, but you don't realize that once you sign an artist, that's cool. You definitely deserve applaud for closing a deal. Closing a deal is not easy, like there's a lot of factors that goes into closing a deal. But the real thing is, can you break the artist? Can you get some form of success, whether they become the biggest artist in the world, they have a big album, they have a big song, they have become notable in some form or fashion? Can you make them become successful? And in that process, like making an album, people think it's just being in the studio all day and giving them beats and right. And yes, that's a huge part of it for sure. Some artists, it's everything. Some artists, it's not. Some artists you don't even get to be in the studio with. You know, I'm not in the studio with Donald. Be like, you do that. No, he knows what the fuck he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like Brockhampton, they know what the fuck they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Some artists that I'm in there a little bit, some artists I'm not in there at all. You know, and I think that where you're not in there with, you supply other things, whether it's helping them get a contact for something they need. You know, I need this bass player, I need this producer, I need this writer. Can you connect me with them? And that artist may not make the album or may make the album, may make the hit record, may not make anything. You know, but it's doing that process to help move things along. There's, once you have the record, it's making sure people care about it in the building, knowing how to make sure everybody in the building are feeling the records that you're putting your heart into. Because you could work on an artist in your own silo in the studio all day you want, and you bring it to the building don't care. And then what happens? What happens after that? No one cares. And then the artist falls off and like, that's it. So what happens to all those artists you signed? Those 10, 15 artists, they all become the same thing. And then you just look like a guy who's hoarding dead artists, you know? So it's a process, you know, and that's why I'm very, very selective about the guys I sign. I sign guys I love because I know that I can do the process with them.
And the reason I ask you that is because I actually want to ask you this. What do you think is the top 3 must-have skills to succeed in the music business as a person? Yeah,
I think you need to be resourceful. You need to be able to, you need to be able to find answers to stuff fast. You need to have a never say die attitude. When it's over, it's not over. It's not over until it's over. You need to be able to feel like you always have a shot. You're always fighting, like resilience. You need to be, I think this is not necessarily a skill, but a trait. I think you need to be a good person. Not say a good person. Sorry, let me rephrase that, because you should be a good person, but there's a lot of people who are very successful that are not good people. But this is a people business, so people need to feel you in some form or fashion. Either they feel you because they want you to win because they love you, or they feel you because they respect the hell out of you. Either one of the two. You got to be able to make people maneuver upon what you want them to maneuver for.
And you were talking about that you always sign people that you love and you're passionate about it. So following your passion is a big thing in, I believe, in a lot of people's careers. Mm-hmm. So, but what would your advice be to recent graduates who are still trying to figure out their passions and kind of feel lost about it?
I think try things when you're younger. You know, like try things. Like if it's something you like, just try it. You know, like, you know, at least go through the process. If you're even interested, go through the process of trying things, because at a certain point in your life, you can't. You have to support your family. You got to support yourself. You know, when you get to a certain part, you know, some people, unfortunately, they can't when they're younger, but most people, they have the opportunity. They have that time allotted to them. If you have that time and you have the what's the word I'm looking for? If you have the privilege to be able to have the time to try things, try different things, so you can find different things about yourself. Because en route to getting where you're supposed to go, you'll go through so many different tunnels. And I think there's nothing wrong with going through 10 tunnels before you get to your destination. Just try different things and, you know, try out different tunnels.
And what would be your general advice to not just people that are planning to do something in the music business, but just in general, all the recent graduates in the younger generation? What would you tell them as they step into the professional life?
I think be, you know, again, be resilient. You know, like there's a million people will tell you no before you get your first yes. That's just how it is. You're going to get no's consistently. Know that you can't get the job. Know that you're not good enough to do this. No, you can't do this. No. Don't be discouraged by it. Even when it seems like it's going to be them, it's very, very discouraging. Because it is. It gets very, very discouraging. I know a lot of people that go through very dark times in dark places at times because they're discouraged. But I think if you continue to progress in the same path you're walking, eventually you're going to get a break. And I think you always got to remember that. Keep pursuing until you catch that break. And then when you catch, even if it's the tiniest break, it may not be the I signed gold like your first week break. You know, maybe just I don't know. I mean, I'm trying not to give a music industry version of this, but I'm going to. And then people get.
That's totally fine.
You know, like you could be like, I'm sending my boss artists all the time, and he don't like any of them, you know. And then one day, he don't love it, but he like, oh, that one's tight. Keep me abreast. That in itself, that's a tiny break because you know, okay, so he likes, we're on the same page on something. Let me figure out how to, let me stay close to that, if anything, but let me figure out how to double down on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was interning at at Bad Boy, it was brief, and it wasn't the best experience. Not because it was it wasn't a bad experience. It just, I guess it wasn't, a lot of people weren't as nurturing to the interns, which is fine, that happens. But when I got to J Records, I was thinking like that's how it's gonna be, and I just got prepared for that. And my first break as an intern was my boss at the time, and my boss eventually, when I was an assistant, and someone who's been a very big person in my overall growth is a guy named Trevor Jerido. He signed to Nashe, Jasmine Sullivan, a bunch of others. But he told me, because I was always there late, he was like, you're going to be somebody someday. And that wasn't nothing. He didn't say, I'm going to get you a job. He didn't say, but he said that you're going to be somebody. When he said that, no one ever said that to me before. When he said that to me, I took that and I said, if he thinks I'm going to be somebody, then I actually could probably be somebody. So let me figure out ways to become somebody. And I think it's always about looking for the littlest breaks, the littlest cracks in the wall, and then busting right through it. And that's how you get there.
And a question about that. When someone tells you that you're going to be somebody, should that put pressure on you, or is that more of a relief?
No, I don't find pressure at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, because especially a lot of time in the world we live in, people don't like to give people validation. They don't like to, they'll show people love if it's beneficial to them a lot of times, unless you're very close friends. But if a lot of times if you can't get something from somebody, or somebody can't get something from you, they don't show you love a lot of times. And when someone says that, they don't really get anything out of that. You know, they don't. I mean, he did, because I became very, very loyal to him, and we it was a very, very beneficial relationship, and still is. But a lot of people don't get a lot of stuff from that. But when someone says something to somebody, or says something to me, I look at it like that. If someone believes that, then it must be true. You know what I'm saying? I usually, at this point now, I believe it. I believe in myself now at this point. I fully believe in myself. But if somebody doubles down on the belief I have in myself, then I fully believe in myself. And I'm going even, now I'm really focused on being there. And I have like some really high up guys that give me advice a lot of times. And when they do that and they say, this is how you do things, it validates everything I've done from the time my family friend came to me and said, why don't you intern? It validates everything, and it's going to continue to do that. And that's why, like, whenever I talk to people, I like whenever, like, somebody hits me up and asks me for advice or whatever, and I see that person progresses or do even the littlest level of progress, I always make time to tell them, like, yo, you did this right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a kid who put me on to an artist, and he was an intern somewhere else, and, and I was like, oh, these artists are tight. And I remember telling my colleagues, I was like, yo, this kid, like, there's a job opening, you need to mess with him because he knows what he's doing. It wasn't my assistant, it's not, has nothing to do with me, you know what I'm saying? But if you give back in that way, it helps. And I know his mind, he's probably, okay, like, now let me figure out how to jump on top of that and become better at that job. So.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I think your experience and your insights on the industry and your journey throughout your career was really inspiring to a lot of our listeners who are recent graduates or still in college. We're also doing internships.
Hey, thank you. Where are you interning?
I'm interning at Authentic. I just finished my internship at Authentic Records.
Hey, sweet.
So Urban A&R.
Sweet.
And that's why it's been really valuable to me as well.
Yep.
And I hope that a lot of people will find really valuable stuff out of this conversation.
Nah,
but thank you so much for being here
Thank
today.
you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.